What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video here on the Samurai Radio Sports Network. And I'm going to try to get through this a little quick, but not necessarily. I know I'm making this a little bit late if you see it. It's by the time I started recording this, it was 8:30, so might go out a little bit later. I know I've been late today, but I'm sticking with the video every day, even if it's going to be a little bit late. So let's just compare really quick. I'm not going to have it on the screen, but just to let you know, out of the two picks, there's three picks from my first mock that are identical, not pick-wise, but team-wise, to my first one and my second one. And that is Myles Garrett at 1 to the Browns and Deshaun Kaiser at 2 to the Niners. And then I have Christian McCaffrey still going to the Kansas City Chiefs, but now they're at pick 30 and not pick 28. But I still have him going to the Chiefs. So those, I believe, are still the only ones that I have that are exactly the same. So should be interesting. But let's get right into it. So I already went through the first two. Jonathan Allen. Now, I think that Jonathan Allen is perfectly in play right here for the Bears because Brad Kaya has declared, and I think Brad Kaya is going to fall between rounds 2 and 4. I really don't think he's going to go in the first round because towards the latter half, there's not a lot of teams that need quarterbacks unless you put Houston in play. And I doubt Houston's going to draft a quarterback. I mean, that would just be... that would be dumb. But you never know. Anything is in play on draft night. So I think he'll end up falling. I don't think any teams, even with teams that have quarterbacks now, are going to waste their first-round picks on a guy for the future. You never know. You saw it in Green Bay. They put theirs in Aaron Rodgers when they had Brett Favre. So you never know. Anything is possible here. But we're going to look at it. And so we have Jonathan Allen. I think Jonathan Allen is the type of player that reminds me of Ndamukong Suh in the fact that if he's not in the play, he's still in the play. That's very rare for a lot of guys, especially coming out of the draft. I mean, you compare these guys to a lot of different people, but I think that he is just a special type of player, and I think he will definitely end up going in that top 3. I don't know to who, but I think he definitely is a top 3 pick. Then I have a very tricky one, and I'm going to get through this quickly because I tried recording this before, and it was just way too long. But we have Mitch Trubisky going to the Jaguars. And I say this because I think that whatever coach ends up coaching the Jaguars, I think they're just going to end up making Blake Bortles fight for his job, which I think could be very interesting. And I think if they bring Trubisky into the system of the Jaguars, I mean, they're really one piece away, and that is a quarterback from being competitive. And this year they were supposed to be competitive. We all thought they would be, but Blake just did not play up to par this year. So I think that this is very much an option. I don't think it will happen, but I think it's an option. I think it's something to consider a little bit. So next we have Jamal Adams going to Tennessee. Now, Tennessee doesn't have great safeties, and they definitely need secondary help. And this is a pick via the Rams, which I feel so bad for the Rams that they have to deal with this. But I end up thinking that Tennessee is going to try to pick someone in the secondary, and I think they'll go safety. I think Jamal Adams is another guy in this draft who is a very special talent. There's only a couple of them here. Really, in my opinion, there's only 3 guys in the first round that I think are special talents. And that's Jonathan Allen, Mitch Trubisky, and Dalvin Cook. And I'm a huge Florida fan. I hate Dalvin Cook as a player for Florida State, but there's no doubt that that dude is just special, and he is going to be special. Hopefully. We say about a lot of guys, but hopefully, I mean, he looks special, just like these two. So I also feel Jamal Adams is the other one. So I feel like they will end up being there, and so I consider Jamal Adams going above Malik Hooker. And then that next pick. So originally I had Jonathan Allen falling to 6 and Tennessee picking Quincy Wilson at 5. Now I have Malik Hooker, the safety from Ohio State, going at 6 to the Jets. Now the Jets are another team that they have Calvin Pryor, and besides that, they don't really have another good safety. They also do need secondary help in the corner position. They also need defensive help, and they need quarterbacks. But I doubt that they're going to draft a quarterback. I think they're going to roll with another year with either Bryce Petty or Geno Smith. And I think that they get a quality talent in Malik Hooker here. I feel like at the positions that they need, he's probably the best talent. I doubt that they draft Deshaun Watson, so I have him dropping. And then with San Diego, I changed it from Deshaun Watson to Cam Robinson. And the reason why I don't have him falling that next pick to the Carolina Panthers is because I think that they're going to want to get some more protection around Phillip Rivers and try to continue his longevity. It all depends on what coach ends up there and what his preferences are. But I definitely think that Robinson goes within at least the top 8. I doubt he falls anywhere out of it. And so I think he's going to be a great option there. And if I was San Diego, I want to try to build up my offensive line for the future. And he's another guy that I think could go there. Instead of getting Deshaun Watson and trying to have that guy for the future, maybe try to make Phillip Rivers' career come a little bit longer, make sure he doesn't get hit as much, and get his career to continue. So he gets protection, he gets time to look through his reads and get something off. And I feel like Cam Robinson's a great pick there at tackle. Then at number 8 with Carolina, we have Dalvin Cook. Originally, I had Cook falling to the Colts at 13. The Colts pick has changed. They've gone down to 15, but I think he's going to go a little higher here. I think Dalvin Cook's Orange Bowl performance bumped him up a little bit, and I think he will end up going in that top 10, which rounds out the Bills and the Bengals. And I think the only chance he could go in the top 10 would be the Panthers. Let me backtrack on that. I feel like if there's going to be any team to pick him in the top 10, it'll be the Panthers. And I have him slightly above Leonard Fournette in terms of who I think is the better talent. Just very, very so slightly. So we'll have to see there. And just to point out, I just realized that in my first one, I also had Tennessee drafting Jamal Adams, but this was at 16, and I had them getting Quincy Wilson at 5. But I think that they'll end up getting Jamal Adams. So they're at 5 via the Rams pick. Now we go to 9, which is Cincinnati Bengals. And if you really think about the Bengals, especially when you look at their wide receivers, and it was kind of obvious during their game against Houston, was that they lack a lot of quality talent outside of A.J. Green. And if a guy like Mike Williams, who is probably another once-in-a-lifetime talent coming out of Clemson, a guy who's really big, he reminds me of a guy who plays for the Dolphins. That's Devontae Parker, in which he will make plays for you down the field. And even you could really, that's what like the main purpose would be. And I really like that. And so I think he would be the guy there. And I think that the Bengals wouldn't pass on him. Now with the Buffalo Bills, a lot of people have the Bills taking Deshaun Watson here at 10, but I think he'll fall a little bit more. And I have the Bills shoring up their inside linebacker. The Bills do run a 3-4 defense. And so there's going to be always, most of the time, basically going to be 4 guys in the backfield. Now, depending on who they bring back, most likely I think that they'll continue to run a 3-4. I don't think they'll go to a 4-3. Even if they do, I feel like Reuben Foster is a guy that can really help their linebacker core, which Zach Brown is really the only guy there right now, and they definitely need some more. They can move Zach Brown to the outside and move Reuben Foster, keep him in the inside, or if they do the 3-4, have Reuben Foster and Zach Brown on the inside, and that could be a very, very good combination there. So now we go to pick 11, which originally was the Arizona Cardinals, but they dropped a couple with their win, and the New Orleans Saints with their loss moved up a little bit. So the Saints moved from 15 to 11, and I keep them with Leonard Fournette. So I feel like this just helps them acquire Fournette, and the reason why I say this is, although I think that they like Mark Ingram a lot, I think that Mark Ingram's going on his last year this year, and I think that getting another two-headed monster, which we've seen with the Falcons, they have a two-headed beast in their backfield, and it's absolutely amazing, and you see how it works now. I think that they will keep Leonard Fournette and pick him there, and then if Mark Ingram doesn't have a great year, I mean, you still have Leonard Fournette, who I think is going to be a beast in the NFL, and you can let Mark Ingram walk, and you still have a guy for another 3 years on a rookie deal. Not a bad rap, to be perfectly blunt with you. And then we go to the Cleveland Browns, and I have the Cleveland Browns taking Deshaun Watson. Now, I know in my first one, I said the Browns wouldn't pick a quarterback in the their first 2 picks in the first round, but I think that they end up picking Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson will be in the first round. I doubt he falls to the Broncos, and I feel like the Broncos could possibly trade up with Cleveland to that 12th pick to try to acquire it to draft a quarterback, depending once again on who the coach is. But I feel like Deshaun Watson could be a great guy to build your team around. I know that they probably want to give Cody Kessler some time and the rest of those guys some time, but I don't think they will. So I'm just I'll put Deshaun Watson here. I feel like that would be great to pick him up, and then you grab some offensive guys to get some more weapons around him. Re-sign Terrell Pryor in the offseason, and I think everything will go great. And once again, you guys have Josh Gordon, who's going to free agency. So I know his name's not around a lot, but you're going to need to pick up some more offensive weapons. So you might need to pick up another wide receiver somewhere in those middle rounds. I think Juju Smith-Schuster is starting to fall into the second, so you could pick him up with your early second-round pick. There's a lot of guys, so I feel like that could be a very good and interesting pick there. Now we go to, I believe, 13 with the Arizona Cardinals, and I have them picking Zach Cunningham. And originally I had them picking Reuben Foster, so I still have them picking a linebacker here, but I think Zach Cunningham could be perfect for the Arizona Cardinals. I think that they might want to move Deon Buchanan back to the safety. Although he plays safety linebacker most of the time, he really is more of a linebacker now, but he does have a safety type of speed. So I feel like they should transition him back more to safety, or maybe keep both. But I think that Zach Cunningham can shore up their linebacker core. I mean, they have Marcus Gooden and Chandler Jones, but their middle linebackers are kind of old. You get a nice young gun in Zach Cunningham, which makes me angry that he won't fall. I don't think he's going to fall outside of the top 15 anymore, but you never know. He might have a bad combine and he will fall. So at 14 with the Philadelphia Eagles via the Vikings, I have Quincy Wilson. And I put Quincy Wilson here because I still feel like he is the best corner in the draft. And I think he has the highest upside out of all these corners. And so I think he'll go much higher than them. Only one higher than Sidney Jones you see behind him with the Colts. But I think he's just better than Sidney Jones. I think the Eagles definitely need some corner help. And so I think that they'll end up getting him. The Colts also, in my opinion, need corner help. I have them picking Sidney Jones out of Washington. The Ravens, now they need an outside linebacker with Terrell Suggs retiring. Tim Williams right there for you at number 16. Number 17, the Washington Redskins. And this is the one that's a little interesting for me. I have them selecting John Ross, wide receiver out of Washington. Now, the reason that I have this is because I feel like their wide receivers are getting old. They need some new guys out there. Pierre Garçon, I think that they might try to do something with him. I don't think they're going to end up keeping him very longer. And I definitely think that John Ross could be a play for them. So originally I had them selecting Caleb Brantley at 20. Definitely a huge switch around there. I have them going John Ross at 17. Tennessee Titans, once again, I said that they need secondary help. So I have them going with Marlon Humphrey, corner out of Alabama. So they get a guy in the back half of the secondary in Jamal Adams, and now they pick up another one in Marlon Humphrey to shore up those corner pieces. I mean, they don't have really good or great guys there. McCourty is getting old. Marlon Humphrey is my third best corner in the draft, and so he falls as the third selected in that round. So Titans shore up their secondary, which is very good for them. Now we go to Tampa Bay, which I think they moved down one. They moved down one, so now they're at 19. Before they were at 18, and I had them picking Jabril Peppers. I have Jabril Peppers falling into the second round right now. I think he is falling on a lot of people's draft boards like a rocket. He is dropping very, 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 very fast. And I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting Malik McDowell. I think that they, just like the Broncos, need some help on the inside. And so I have Tennessee Titans selecting Malik McDowell out of Michigan State. But with the Broncos, I think that they need some more tight end help, and I have them going O.J. Howard. Originally, I had David Njoku going to the Texans, and he was my only tight end in the first round. I'm dropping that. I think that Njoku will fall to the second. And I have O.J. Howard going to the Broncos at 20. Detroit Lions, 21. I said this in the first one, I believe, is they've had trouble getting anybody besides Ndamukong Suh since he left. I feel like they can get Taco Charlton. That's what I had at 21st last time. This time at 21st, I have Caleb Brantley, defensive tackle from Florida. And then I have back-to-back Florida picks. For the Dolphins, I have them selecting Jalen Tabor, which I think would be a great pick for the Miami Dolphins. And if he falls to them, would be amazing and out of this world. To be perfectly honest with you, I think Jalen Tabor is an amazing corner. And I think he could be a great piece for the Dolphins to build up on I think they're either going to draft here either a tight end, a corner, or an edge rusher. And I think that they're not going to select a tight end here, so I think that they go with a corner. Also, because linebacker isn't in play right now, they're not I mean, you could have Gerard Davis, but I feel like they get a linebacker in the second round, and I think that they stick here with corner. Now at 23, the New York Giants have Gerard Davis. So back-to-back-to-back Florida picks, like I said. Gerard Davis can play him on the inside, outside. I think he goes and he boosts up into my first round here. Really, time will tell from now until the draft if he falls. Originally, he was not in my top 10, but we'll see. So, or not my top 10. Originally, he wasn't in my first round, my top 32. I had him at 34. I had him in the early seconds. So, we'll see what happens there. But right now, I bump him up. Then at 24, I have Carl Lawson, the defensive end out of Auburn. Well, defensive end, outside linebacker. I think he could be a great piece to that Raiders defense. They have been absolutely horrible this year in terms of they don't have a great defense. And I feel like Carl Lawson could help that edge side with Khalil Mack. So you have one on one edge, one on the other. I mean, that could be very devastating for teams to deal with. Then we go to pick 25, the Houston Texans. I think they need some offensive line help. If you're going to keep a quarterback there, I think you go with Ryan Ramczyk. I think that's how you say his name. Not too sure. Offensive tackle out of Wisconsin. Green Bay Packers, they need corner help. When their corners go down, it shows and it hurts them. So I have them grabbing Marshawn Lattimore out of Ohio State. Seattle Seahawks, I have Taco Charlton out of Michigan. I feel like he could be great for them. He drops a little bit. He drops from 21 to 27 in my second mock draft. But I feel like Taco Charlton is a great pick there for the Seahawks. 28, Pittsburgh Steelers. They need corner help. I go Desmond King. Atlanta Falcons, I think they'll grab a safety here and Budda Baker. Kansas City Chiefs, like I said, still pick Christian McCaffrey. Dallas Cowboys select an outside linebacker and Ryan Anderson out of Alabama. And the New England Patriots select Charles Harris, the outside linebacker out of Missouri. So that is my NFL mock draft. A little bit longer than the last one, but I want to go a little more in-depth in these. So if you notice, the guys that I had drop out of my mock for this first round, Juju Smith-Schuster has dropped. Quentin Nelson has dropped. Deontay Foreman has dropped. Adoree Jackson, Dewan Smoot, DeMarcus Walker, David Njoku, Chris Wormsley, Jabril Peppers. 9 guys have all dropped out of my first round. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. And I also dropped Corey Davis. So interesting to see. But I hope you guys did very much enjoy my second version of my mock draft. And until next time, make sure you subscribe down below. And until next time, peace.